All right, greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. How are you all feeling? Good to see you. I know a lot of you are probably not aware that I was doing a show at 10 a.m. today. I was not aware either until last night. I probably could have given you all a heads up, a little more heads up, and I apologize for that. But here we are. Just have to do the show earlier today because of scheduling conflicts. It's all good. We're here. Also, there's a lot of noise in the background. They're doing like major construction next door to my house, like right next door. So if you hear hammering and banging and sawing and clinging and clanging, I apologize for that. But we got some folks here. That's cool. We're live on Callin. We're live on Rockfin. We're live on YouTube. Rockfinners, what's up? Do you have any Rockfin people today? Wow. All right. Well, we're waiting for the Rockfinners to get into the groove, get into the chat. I did post a show about an hour ago, so I figured some people would see it on Rockfin, but who knows? I don't know what's going on. Oh, sorry. Let me not lose my page. Anyways, well, we're live on Rockfin, Callin, and on YouTube, and people will be filing in momentarily, I'm sure. All right. It's a holiday. What holiday is it? Is it Juneteenth? It is Juneteenth. I don't know that it's a federal holiday. Or is it? Has it been recognized as a federal holiday? I know that it's gotten a lot more um, not a lot more notice. The newest federal holiday. I guess it is a holiday. Well, I'm late on that. Is it a bank holiday? Anyways, yeah, Juneteenth has gotten a lot more awareness over the last few years. And it's a thing. It's a thing. Well, it's a thing that people have celebrated for a long time. But it's a thing that more and more people are celebrating. Is it a bank holiday? Anybody in the chats help me out? Post office closed and banks? Huh. Okay. Well, there you go. Well, it's a holiday then. Man, I feel kind of lame that I didn't know it was a federal holiday until today. So, but it became a federal holiday 2 years ago. All right. Very good. Very good. Good to know. All righty, guys. I wonder. So I guess they're still collecting garbage today, though. All right. Oh, am I going live again on Rockfin? I was live already. I'm going live again. All right. I'm not alone. Okay. All right. Let's get into it. Well, that's cool. I mean, Juneteenth is an interesting day, interesting history, right? When a lot of people didn't know they were free. Somebody came along and said, "Hey, did you guys know you were free?" And they were like, "Oh, thanks. Thanks for letting me know." All right. UK and Ireland suffer one of the most severe marine heat waves on Earth. So that's happening. Waters around the UK and Ireland have been classified as experiencing a Category 4 extreme marine heat wave as the North Atlantic Ocean continues to see extraordinary warmth. Ocean waters around the UK and Ireland are in the grip of one of the most severe marine heat waves on Earth at the moment, with meteorologists warning temperatures are up to 4°C above normal for the time of year in some places. 4°C. The North Atlantic Ocean has record temperatures for the past 3 months, with average surface temperatures peaking on June 17th at 23°C or 0.2°C above the previous high set in 2010. Much of the heat is currently concentrated on waters surrounding the UK and Ireland, with scientists at the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration categorizing the region as being hit by a Category 4 extreme marine heat wave. Waters off the UK's east coast from Durham to Aberdeen and off the west coast of Ireland are especially warm. Off Seaham, on the coast of Durham, water temperatures on June 18th hit 15°C, well above the 12°C average for the time of year. Some parts of the UK coast now have waters approaching 20°C. Good Lord. Well, that can't be good. It can't be good for anybody, right? Is anybody getting the message that I'm live now on Rockfin? I think a couple of people are filing in. Okay. Sorry. Well, it's my fault. I didn't alert people to and I was gone yesterday. I was gone yesterday and I didn't alert people to the fact I was going to be on at 10 today. So my bad. I apologize. Also, the Galapagos Islands are experiencing heat. We're going to talk a lot about heat waves today. The Galapagos Islands are cooking. 20-degree heating weeks now. I don't know. I don't know what that sentence means. Probably enough to kill most of the remnant corals. The blue plus indicated the average monthly temperatures exceeded by 3 to 5 degrees over the past 10. So 20 weeks of heating. Something is missing. Some information is missing in that tweet. But this is where we are now. Or we're here. I don't know. I'm still a little bit confused. But why wouldn't it be hot in the Galapagos Islands? It's hot in that part of the Pacific, or hotter. We're experiencing an El Nino event now. Bleaching alert area. Level 2, which looks like it's the highest. Level 2, bleaching alert level. Yeah. So that doesn't spell good things. Been getting some newer subscribers lately, so. Denver's here on Rockfin. Okay, finally. So people are coming into Rockfin. I know you guys didn't know that I was starting early. And I think the call-in people are not going to, I don't know if they're going to figure it out. Humans are pumping so much water out of the ground that Earth's tilt is changing. I believe I've seen this before. But this is from June 16th, 2023. Huh. Well, yeah, I mean, if you shift things around. Ow. Humans have shifted such a large mass of water that the Earth tilted nearly 80 centimeters east in the last 30 years. Wow. Earth's rotational poles, which are the points around which the planet rotates, move with respect to the surface during a process called polar motion in response to the distribution of Earth's mass. Over geological time, the gravitational pull of sun and moon, growing or shrinking ice sheets, and the slow drift of the continents will move mass around and cause Earth's axis to shift, but human activity can cause significant changes on a much smaller time scale. Redistributing large volumes of water, forcing Earth's center of rotation to shift respectively. Well, why wouldn't that happen? I don't know. I saw lots of goofy denialist stuff today. More, well, the climate is changing because we're, closer to the sun. Okay. I mean, maybe. I did see nothing but crickets. Oceanic Estate says, I did see somebody saying they're finally covering the sea ice. I mean, the sea surface temperature anomaly on mainstream news in Chicago. Right. I mean, if they're pushing the climate change agenda, right? If they're really pushing the climate change agenda, wouldn't you be showing that graph every night? Guys, what is going on? They're not really pushing it. They're pushing it kinda. They're pushing it. They're pushing it to manufacture consent for things that are not going to help climate change, but they're not pushing the actual reality of climate change. All right, let's move on. I do have to end my show on time, which would be 11 a.m. Brutal heat in Mexico again. Records are being obliterated all over the country every day. 47.4 C at Ciudad Victoria. Good God. Monclova, 45.3 C, set a new record for June. Sorry, you guys can't see this. I agree with you, Oceanic Estate. Yeah, and the left make people hate this issue even more. The left are full of opportunistic sadists. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Mexico. Next week we might see insane temperatures near 50 C. Good God. And why would they wouldn't say that just cause we might, they were saying that because they're saying that because because that's a forecast. Greg on Colin says Colin is dead because Rumble bought it and is shutting it down. Are they? Is that true? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. You might have correct information. I haven't seen anything about that. I know that Rumble bought it, but I don't know. I see plenty of people on Call-In. I think I see the same people coming into my show. I don't know. It would kind of suck if Rumble did shut it down. That would suck. I think Call-In is a cool app. I like it. I've been using it for a while. Let's keep going. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked here. Well, let's look at this article from Doomer Girl News about Mexico. Temperatures reached a record high of 35 degrees Celsius in the capital city, Mexico, this week. But they apparently somewhere hit 47 C. Ooh, good God. That is a warm one. There's a lack of water. You can't bathe the children or even use a fan because they, what? Cut the power. And that is the risk of humanity relying on their super cool technology. You know, the big brains over at Team Humanity using their super cool technology to keep people cool in a heat wave that may never end. And what happens in the heat wave when things get too hot and everybody wants to use the power? Well, then the power shuts down. And then everybody is in big trouble, right? And there might be cooling centers around, but do those cooling centers have their own generators? Are those cooling centers hooked up to the grid? Are they being shut down? All these are, questions I have. Mexico bakes under killer heat wave. Roberto de Jesus, a day laborer, stands beside the cathedral in Mexico City, sweating a river as he waits for work, while homemaker Wendy Tijarina tries in vain to keep her food from spoiling. The latest blast of a heat wave that has killed 8 people in Mexico is making life very difficult for millions of people. De Jesus, a 50-year-old construction worker, positions himself beside the Metropolitan Cathedral in the capital city, which saw a record temperature of 35 degrees this week, 95 Fahrenheit. Put that together with some humidity and you get a really not a fun day. He is braving the third heat wave to hit Mexico this year, and forecasters say the latest blazing temperatures could last another 2 weeks. It is noon, and the streets and buildings of the sprawling, crowded metropolis are positively roasting. There are people everywhere, cars and smog everywhere, and what makes for a suffocating atmosphere. The heat hits really hard. It really affects you. While waiting for work, it even makes you sleepy, said De Jesus. Don't go to sleep. It is not just work that becomes challenging in these conditions. Eating from food stalls in the street, a time-honored Mexican custom, becomes risky because the heat is spoiling the food. Anyways, Jesus got sick recently from eating tacos. Got food poisoning. The heat is horrible, says Javier Ramos, 30, who prepares tacos in a major thoroughfare in downtown Mexico City, putting in 15 hours a day. You have to stay hydrated all day, said Ramos. He said it's tricky to keep the meat and vegetables, which he keeps in ice chests, from spoiling as the temperatures soar. The government says 7 people have died in various cities from heat stroke, 1 from dehydration. From April 14th to June 12th in the northeastern city of Monterrey, the temperature surpassed 40 degrees Celsius. Isn't Monterrey the city, too, that had like their water supply, their main water reservoir was so low they were shutting off water to people? The city, Monterrey, endured a historic drought last year and is now grappling with low water pressure in homes, while constant use of air conditioners has sapped the electrical grid and caused blackouts. Tijarina, who lives in the nearby town of Apodaca, said the heat is there is even worse because it is an industrial area. The thermal sensation is stronger, she said. She says her refrigerator cannot compete with the heat as it tries to keep food edible. We are going to get an ice chest for medicine that requires medication and for food that is somewhat fragile, Tihanina said. Damn. Yeah, and then a lot of people are struggling with very high temperatures. All right. What is 47C? Let's just find out. I know it's around 116. 116 degrees. Ouch. That's brain cooking. Brain cooking food. I mean, food. Brain cooking temperatures. Apparently, my brain is cooked. All right. Let's keep going. The limits of human survival are being pushed in places like India. 96 people died in the northern states of Uttar Pradesh and eastern Bihar, with temps over 40 C. This is the current global average of 1.3 C. Sorry, you can't see this. The truth says, glad I live in Florida. We have good AC. Okay. Until you don't. You have good AC until you don't. All right. This is at the current global level of 1.3 C. Excuse me. The world is on course to 2 C. The potential casualties are unimaginable. And here's another article. Nearly 100 die in India as India struggles with a sweltering heat wave in 2 most populous states. So that's not a fun time. Here's another one. Julian Cribb. We are gambling with the future of our planet for the sake of hamburgers. Somebody replied to this. I mean, a bunch of goofballs. I love hamburgers. You're trying to take my hamburgers away from me. I will not eat bugs. All right. I bet you. I don't know if somebody is trying to take your hamburgers away from you, but I bet you, you probably eat a whole bunch of things if you didn't have enough food to eat. I've been listening to a lot of this one particular Freedom Burger. Yeah. I'm listening to one particular podcast that deals with people experiencing extreme situations, life-threatening situations, and most of the time they don't make it out of it, but sometimes they do. People, trapped in the desert or stranded in the desert, not trapped. And when you get hungry, you just start eating all kinds of things that you thought you wouldn't eat. So I don't know. It's cool while you have the choice. When you think you have the choices, and you do have the choices for now, it's fine. Everything's great, and we're going to be like, hey, don't take away my freedom to eat anything I want, or do anything I want, or go anywhere I want. Don't you do that. But we may be living in a world where the ability to have access to 24 hours supermarkets stocked full of food, that time might come to an end. I'm not saying this week or next week. Who knows though? Who knows? Today could be our very last, and we never know. But maybe this week, next week, maybe next year. I don't know. But that time looks very extremely likely that it will be upon us. And so it's good to think about, how you're going to survive without your hamburgers, without your freedom burgers. Right? You might have to get used to eating some vegetables. or rodents. I'm sorry to go there, but again, people eat all kinds of things when they're hungry. And you will probably find yourself going, things have certainly taken a turn, haven't they? We are gambling with the future of our planet for the sake of hamburgers. Peter Singer on climate change. I wasn't aware of the climate change until the 1980s. Hardly anyone was, and even when we recognized the dire threat that burning fossil fuels posed, it took time for the role of animal production in warming the planet to be understood. Today, though, the fact that eating plants will reduce your greenhouse gas emissions is one of the most important and influential reasons for cutting down on animal products. And you notice he said cutting down, right? You don't have to, be cool if people just, kind of understood that the future might look different, and maybe you could voluntarily choose to, adjust your diet accordingly. I don't know. Instead of just being a selfish child. I want what I want, and I want it now, and you're not going to keep it from me, and anybody who keeps it from me is a communist. I don't know. Even when we recognize the dire threat that burning fossil fuels posed. Anyways, I read that. Today, though, the fact that eating plants will reduce your greenhouse gas emissions is one of the most important and influential reasons for cutting down on animal products and for those willing to go all the way, become vegan. A few years ago, eating locally, eating only food produced within a defined radius of your home became a thing for the environmentally conscious people to do, to such an extent that locavore became the Oxford English Dictionary's word of the year. So, I mean, anyways. And that's a good thing to do whether you're climate conscious or not. Whether you eat beef or veggies or eggs or whatever, it's a good thing to know, how you might get your food locally. That's just a good thing to know. You don't have to be into climate change or whatever to not understand that that's probably better for you in the long run. Adam, thank you for the super chat. Your work is appreciated, says Adam. Thank you. Anyways, I'm not going to read too much more of this because we know about it. If you enjoy getting to know and support your local farmers, of course, eating locally makes sense. But if your aim is, as many local eaters said, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, you would do much better by thinking about what you are eating rather than where it comes from. That's because transport makes up only a tiny share of the greenhouse gas emissions from the production and distribution of food. With beef, for example, transport is only 0.5% of total emissions. So if you eat local beef, you will still be responsible for 99.5% of the greenhouse gas emissions your food would have caused if you had eaten beef transported a long distance. On the other hand, if you choose peas, you will be responsible for only about 2% of the greenhouse gas emissions from producing a similar quantity of local beef. More generally, plant foods typically have far lower greenhouse gas emissions than any animal foods, whether we are comparing equivalent quantities of calories or of protein. Beef, for example, emits 192 times. And also, I don't know about the water equivalent. I'm not sure. Some fruits and vegetables and nuts require a ton of water, but I think beef requires still, all meat production requires way more water. Also, all the water and the inputs that are required to make the food for the beef, right? The food that these animals eat. They're not just out there all free ranging and grazing grasses. And they're not. That's not how they all live. Beef, for example, emits 192 times as much carbon dioxide equivalent per gram of protein as nuts. There you go. And while these are at the extremes of protein foods, eggs, the animal food with the lowest emissions per gram of protein, still has, per gram of protein, more than twice the emissions of tofu. Animal foods do even more poorly when compared with plant foods in terms of calories produced. Beef emits 520 times as much per calorie as nuts, and eggs, again the best performing animal product, emit 5 times as much per calorie as potatoes. So there's some quick facts there. Just some quick facts. Okay. I wanted. It's funny because the other day I was talking about. Oh, you guys want to talk about orcas? That are orcas apparently attacking boats almost every day now. But we'll talk about orcas. But for a second, remember the other day I was saying, a lot of people are trying to claim that all the wildfires in Canada are started by they're arsonists or control. I don't know. Maybe. I wanted to have, and I said, you got evidence of arson or people setting these fires. That's cool. And on a channel by, a well-loved alternative journalist who I also enjoy, but is a heavy climate denier. Literally like the next day saying, look at all these articles talking about the arson that's going on in Canada. It's all arsonists. I was like, okay. Mainly just showing the headlines, though, not actually reading the articles. And somebody else on Twitter was doing the same thing, like listing, saying all these things are arson. But one article in particular that I remember that this very popular, beloved journalist brought up was this article: women arrested for intentionally setting fires in the woods near, this is from May 31st. So she just set a fire that was like, that burned like one tree in the cruise. It was an 8-foot by 8-foot brush fire. And they extinguished the flames before they spread into the forest. So this is one of the Oceanic Estate. I'm trying to address some things that people are trying to bring up. And maybe I'll tweet this out at said alternative journalists. But I have a problem. And also, in addition to what this journalist was trying to present, the Twitter thread that this person was trying to start about how all the fires are just arson, and they're just trying to do this thing, make the climate change, and make it a thing. They're setting all the fires. The community notes. A lot of the people said these articles relating to arson aren't related to the wildfires, or actually, so they were picking out the same things that I picked out, right? So I found a couple of articles about, arson in Canada, which you could do if you did a Google search or did a search and said, like, look, man charged with arson in 2 Surrey fires. Well, these are house fires, right? RCMP believes 3 fires in Pictou County early Friday were deliberately set. Again, these were just like, one was a trash bin fire, and like, these articles aren't necessarily these. Anyways, I had a problem with the way that this alternative journalist presented this information, because all he did was show the headlines and say, see, why aren't they doing it? Without actually reading the articles. without actually getting into the details of the articles, which showed that these fires had nothing to do with the wildfires. They were just, because arson happens all the time. Sure. Happens in my neighborhood. Homeless people go up into the mountains all the time and set fires. That's not like they're intentionally setting these fires. The World Economic Forum is setting these fires to make it seem like climate change is a thing. That's not the same thing. So if you're a journalist, I seriously, when you're presenting information, if you could present the facts of what you're presenting, or at least go into the article to not make it seem like you're misrepresenting the things that you're trying to present to people as facts about, oh, they're just arson. What kind were they actually linked to the wildfires? That's one thing. If you could find the articles and say that these arson incidents were actually linked to these wildfires that are burning. But this particular article, the one article about the woman, that I do remember specifically was presented as evidence that this, they're intentionally setting these wildfires. This had nothing to do with the wildfires. And this arson event didn't even get into the forest. So, dude, do better, okay? Do better. People do better. If you're going to present something as a fact or as, it's like the people showing video of helicopters dropping fire up in Canada. And they're like, see, they're intentionally setting these fires. And everybody was like, hey, they're setting backfires to control the fire. That's what people do. That's a long, well-known, long-lived firefighting tactic to set back fires. They're not intentionally setting the fires. So you got to do a little better. Okay? All right? I'm just saying, do better. Don't misinform people. Don't mislead people like that. Don't just bring up a headline and say, there, I've cracked the case. Headline says it all. No, you have to read the article, bro. That was lame journal. It was really, really bad journalism. Is all I got to say. Don't do that. Don't do that. Come with the facts. Come with the data and the evidence, and then you make it a little more believable, right? Okay. Let's continue. Got a couple more minutes, and I want to cover. I was going to cover this story about orcas. So let's go with orcas. I mean, a lot of. I just want to say, like a lot. I'm a fan of and purveyor of and consumer of alternative news from. A lot of really good journalists out there, but man, when they walk into climate change, they just put on the dunce hat and don't even do any journalism. It's like, what are you doing? I have a serious problem with that. I have an issue with that. Why? What are you doing, and why are you doing it? So if you're not going to actually cover a story and look at the facts and the data and the evidence, come on now. All right. Every revolution needs a leader, says Al Content. Orcas apparently are attacking boats every day now. The internet has been enraptured by orcas attacking ships and even pleasure yachts, and the ferocious cetaceans show no sign of letting up. In a new interview with PBS, a man who runs a website that tracks orca sightings and encounters off the coast of the Iberian Peninsula, where in recent months orcas have increasingly attacked and sunken boats, says the angry whales are keeping busy. It's kind of great. We're having one incident every day on average. Okay. Oh, oops. Said Rui Alves, the creator of Orcas.pt, told the public broadcaster there are days we have 2 or 3. Anyways, they may or may not be happening every day. It's weird. They say Alves's map for June. It's worth pointing out shows only 12 attacks so far this month, all of which took place in the Strait of Gibraltar. The area between Spain and Morocco, which falls mildly short of one attack per day, but point taken, they're still at it. Anyways. Orcas are hangry, says Poppy, yes. Go Orcas. All right, we're going to move on to some other things. We might get into some things that are YouTube sensitive, so we might go to Rockfin here for the last couple of minutes of the show. I'm thinking we might do that. Because I want to play a video. A couple good articles from The Intercept out this week. One talking about the FBI grooming a 16-year-old with brain development issues to become a terrorist. Sounds about right. All right, so yeah, let's do that. Let's jump off of YouTube, guys. We're going to go to Rockfin, ROKFIN.com. You can watch for free for the last couple minutes, or call in. You can get on call in. You can call into the show if you so like. All right, YouTubers, thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Pretty sure about that. So YouTubers, see you tomorrow. Oh, before we go, must let you know the very best ways to support the show. Buymeacoffee.com/BlackBearNews. Cash App at Red Llama Music. Venmo at Kevin Sandbloom. PayPal.me/Kevin Sandbloom. All right, YouTubers, thank you. We'll see you all in Rockfin.